Hello, world.
Happy Monday. Monday.
Right? It's Monday.
Brandy just made it here with 2 minutes to spare.
Yep, finished setting up the camera. I didn't accidentally go live this time, so
I
call
called
that
a win. So
Yeah.
I'm Shannon, this is Brandy, and we co-founded The Thriving Relationship. We're both counselors here in Idaho Falls, and we work with individuals and couples.
Yep.
And then we do retreats and intensive weekends, and we show up here, all in the name of trying to share relationship knowledge, relationship tips, and just support couples in general.
Yeah,
in
just
any way
support
we
people
can.
in getting the best, most wonderful out of your relationships that you have. Yeah, because it's not always like we don't all come with a manual, apparently.
Yeah, or I lost mine or misplaced.
You came in a language I don't understand.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. Wow, Algeria.
Nice.
That's very awesome. And Carly's here.
Yeah, so tonight we're talking about purposefully looking for
Positive,
The
more
positives.
positive. I think we've noted in our own lives and in our
Yeah.
caseloads that the heaviness continues in 2020. There continues to be a lot of fear and anxiety and just things happening. And so we can very easily get into
Hi.
hey, Brandon. We can very much get into that, going in, I call it the rabbit hole.
Mhm.
Like go into, I'm collecting data on all the negative that's
Yeah.
happening, maybe the negative within self, and the negative within relationship. And so the Gottmans have this awesome 5-to-1 ratio.
Yes.
And so research shows that for every one negative interaction, so we're not just talking words, it can be any sort of interaction. For every one negative, we need 5 positives. So being able to intentionally put more positives into whether it's relationships with your friends, with your family members, co-workers,
Yes.
trying to up the positive.
Yeah, this 5-to-1 ratio does not end just in relationships. I've spent a decade working in substance use, and that is the same ratio for positive interactions that every participant in a drug court setting, excuse me, that we wanted to make sure that they would have for every type of negative interaction that they would have with the system or with the program. And so this 5-to-1 ratio is a big deal in trying to create positive, elicit change, things like that.
Yeah, it's one of those, I've been working a lot within, it's easier sometimes to give positive to the outside world. So not always, it depends where you are in your relationship. And so, if you're in that, you're feeling like you're in a good place and a pretty healthy flow with your relationship, you probably are meeting that 5-to-1 ratio. I think the Gottmans say that a lot of relationships that are really struggling, it's like 0.85 positive for every one negative. That's not feeling very good to anyone. So sometimes it's easier to give positive to the outside world. Like, I appreciate you for doing this. I can see the strengths in my partner. I can see how they're a good dad or a good wife or whatever you're talking about, but can you do it within self? So every negative comment that you're making about your body or about your skills or about whatever you're doing, whatever the inner critic, can you then come back with 5 positives internally?
Oh yeah, and when I sit in my yoga classes, I know one of my yoga instructors, she says, and I don't know where her research comes from, but she says that when they have tried to track the type of thoughts that we have, that oftentimes we find about 80% of the thoughts that we have going through our head are negative, right? It's critiquing ourselves. So I don't even know how you get 5-to-1 on that. Right?
One thought at a time.
one thought at a time.
Yes.
And really oftentimes this changing the internal thought, right? And kind of how we speak to ourselves, how we think about ourselves, it just comes with increasing that awareness, right? And so when you finally catch yourself and you go, oh, I'm in this really negative place and I'm really not being I would never talk to a friend that way. I would never, any of that, right? Then it's time to, that's your opportunity to interrupt the pattern. Yeah, that's when we create that. We're just looking for little changes.
Yeah, I think I just did this with a mom today. You know, it's so easy for especially moms, I think, to start to get guilty. Like, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that. And so we were talking about, well, what would happen if this was your friend? What would you tell her? And she was easily able to be very compassionate and like, oh, it's not your fault. There's no worries. You know, you're doing the best you can. And then can you take those positives that you would easily just pour out to a friend and give that back to self? I think that's a lot of times we really struggle with that, but it just is so much easier. But then back to couples. So you want to, you know, we get into the patterns that we've talked about before, how powerful gratitude is. Being able to voice appreciation can be a great use of, you know, that 5-to-1 ratio. Being able to, even if it's something that you are doing every day, like I always do the laundry. It's really nice if someone says,
thanks for doing the laundry.
Thank you. Instead of that excited. So,
why didn't you do the laundry?
Right. That I definitely get. If I don't do it, it's pointed out, but it's so nice when someone points out when I do something that I usually do. And so taking the time to really, what is your partner bringing? What is the positive that's happening in the family system, and can you point it out and actually say it?
Yeah, I love this. Brandon points out, right? Take the time to journal it. I see lots of, like, that's a really popular thing right now. Like, there's whole gratitude journals, that type of thing. But yeah, it's such a great idea to take that positive and actually put it into writing, right? I think that you get a lot of kind of power and intention behind that, and it really starts to create more of a habit to really take the time to focus on the positive.
Focus on the positive and switch our brains are all in a negativity bias. We go and we scan for threat, we scan for negative. You can walk in the house, and I don't think I'm the only mom that walks around the house and sees all the things that haven't been done or all the messes. I'm not scanning and like, oh, someone unloaded the dishwasher. I'm seeing the empty dog bowl. And so it really does, we're all wired for negativity. And so we have to intentionally walk in and start to focus on positive. Yes. And it's very easy when we work with our couples that you see them start to spiral and really collect a lot of data very quickly on all that's not going well. And so being able to then shift into what's going right. Yeah. Because unless you are with someone that is just really malicious, there's a lot that's going right.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea of like purposely focusing on the positive and gratitude really go hand in hand, right? And there's just loads of research coming out right now from, you know, many different universities and other places that are really showing how powerful kind of that gratitude practice can be in changing the way our brain works, right? Yeah. It changes the pathways. And so even if we've been kind of that person who, you know, you kind of always have that negative spin on things, right? Like if you can really practice that gratitude, you can really shift how those brain pathways work.
I just smell from my
children.
Yeah, sometimes there's that. You don't even have to look for them. All of our senses are involved when we're scanning for threat.
Yes.
So you can smell them as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Any questions out there? There's
any questions that don't become inappropriate.
Right. There's always the caveat that's
this whole thing is to help other people have successful relationships. If you're looking for other tips, you might want to find a different channel.
Right. What else do we have going on? At this point, not really any retreats in motion. We're just waiting to see.
No, I'm having people ask. So we'll have to, I had actually someone today
in the fall
ask and had some real interest in that. And so we'll have to kind of see if the world is going to let us have gatherings.
Hey, Amanda.
Hey, Amanda, we're so glad you're here.
And then intensives are always an option, which that's working with one of us as a couple for the entire weekend. So, and they are catered towards whatever is happening in your relationship, and there's a lot of flow in the amount of time that is spent there. So
yes,
depends. It could be a few hours all the way to many.
Yeah. So, let's start dinner.
Oh, thank you, Carrie. Also, we have once a week emails. And so going to the website, thethriving-relationship.com, you can subscribe to the email. And that way you'll have one tip a week. But then also when
we have more
get
things on the
going
calendar,
again, you will have that coming into your email.
Yeah. Thank you for the reminder, Carrie.
All right. Anything else on positives tonight?
Positives. Take the challenge. I would say take the challenge. Try to, go through your day and come up with at least 5 positive things you can tell yourself. Mm-hmm. And 5 positive things, whether you share them with a partner or children or coworkers or just strangers for that matter, right? Like this is one of those fun, you can pay it forward type of thing, right?
Yeah. Strangers work too. That's great.
Yeah. So thank you so much for everybody joining us tonight. We love having a good following. And if you like what you see, please don't hesitate to share this video. And hopefully we'll continue to support relationships. One video, one session, one retreat, one intensive weekend at a time. So have a wonderful evening and week, everybody.
See you next Monday.
Didn't lose my golden hour. She's got it. I love it.
Yes, share positives. I got dressed. Perfect.
All right.
We're still live. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.